All right, Gary Gall, we are back with episode number 2 of The Breaking Point.
Dose.
What's up, man?
How you doing, buddy?
Good.
Feeling good over here? I hope you're doing well.
I'm doing so good. So good. I mean, it's crazy, it's only been like 3 weeks, maybe a month since we talked last, but we've added another human to our life. We've added a little bit more chaos, but man, it's a great time right now, just kind of soaking in all the baby moments. It goes so fast. Like, even he's grown, gained 2 pounds in 3 weeks, and they look like a completely different little animal after a couple pounds.
Congratulations on that, man. That's a world that I still can't even fathom yet, and you're already almost waist deep into it, and that's amazing. You
Yeah,
know,
no, it's
it,
good, man. It's fun times. I really appreciate the craziness. It's something that, I don't know that, there's ever, you hear people say it. I don't think you understand it until you're actually like head first into it. But like, people say, oh, you're never gonna know if you're ready or not. And it's like that's true to me, because you don't know what the hell you're gonna get. Like, everything is so different, no matter what kind of person or what kind of expectations you have. When you bring another life into the world, it's a game changer. And you just kind of, you just play with it, and try your best and make the most out of the moments, I think.
I think it puts a lot of things into perspective for you. You know, Steph and I were talking about, for us, it's getting a dog.
Yeah.
And we say the same thing. Well, we're not really ready. And she'll always come back and say, when are we ever going to be ready? That's a dog. Not downplaying that, but you're getting handed another living being, thinking, oh man, added this to my world if it's already not wild enough. And it's an amazing process. But again, I can't even speak to it. I'm proud of you, man, and congratulations to both of you.
Your
I
shit.
wish you all the best.
Yes, much love, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, so I mean, that's a kind of a good segue into, kicking off this episode. We named this segment. I think we're gonna continue to build off of it and make, different avenues for this, but we named it The Breaking Point. And to me, like, the moment you said that, I was like, that's dope, because we all have those moments. We all have that time, and it looks different to everybody, right? It's going to look different to me than it does to you. It's going to look different to you that it does, one of your older or younger clients. Like, we all get to these moments where it's either we give in or we push through. And that's that breaking point, and there's times where we're going to get all the way broken down to where it seems like the good choice is to just give in and give up. But I think our goal and our mindset and our willingness to put all this out there, it's all factored and focused on being able to give people the tools to not give in, to not allow themselves the easy route, even though sometimes it may seem like the better route. Don't take that route. Push forward. Understand that we're coming from a place of straight up, of a place that we've been to that point. We've been to that point where we wanted to give up and we wanted to quit and we wanted to make it easier on ourselves, quote, easier, because in the long run, that's often not the easy point. But we've been to that point, and we continue to try to battle with those moments. So if we can, help people to push through in tough times, I think that's what we're here for. And I'm excited for what we have to do.
I think the name sums it up. We were just talking right before this. It's a badass name and it sounds cool, but we've all been there. We've all been broken. It's cool. There's nothing wrong with being broken. The two of us have been broken. We can share many, many stories of that. The main thing is It's about what are you going to do after that broken point? Are you going to submit? Are you going to go into a comfortable world, or are you going to continue to push on and be comfortable in the uncomfortable world? That's as simple as it gets. And that's the moments that you'll have. The more you pass through them, the more you do break. Usually when you break, you come back better. And you just have to keep moving.
Yeah,
That's it.
totally. Totally. And I think, one of the nice things about, our background, but even where I think right now it's even more so, but we're in a position where we're constantly kind of manufacturing, these they're almost false breaking points, right? Like in the world of working out, I think that's such a perfect example of you're always trying to push yourself to find that line. You don't always want to red line it, obviously. You don't always want to, but you're trying to kind of touch that wall and just see, can I push it back here? Can I do it? And it stemming around great programming, stemming around having great people around you to help you find those levels. But in wrestling is the same way. We're constantly playing with this. How can I break you, but also build you up at the same time? It's a very interesting realm to kind of play in.
Yeah. When I, back after football and the start of my youth, it was the military. That's where I thought I wanted to go. And of course, the spec ops in the military are experts at breaking people. That's literally all they're going to try and do. As a young professional, as a young strength coach, I thought, well, that's the mindset. That's all I'm going to try and do. And I should make some pretty tough individuals. And I definitely have, and you definitely can get that way. And you are. If you're a competitive person, you're constantly trying to move your limits. You're constantly trying to expand your edge without falling right off of it. But a big thing for me, and something that's been very, very important in the most recent years, is the idea of working out versus the idea of coming back to work in.
Yes, I've seen you talk about that on your social media. The working in, that's one thing I definitely and am interested. I want to get your full take on that, and how you do that. It's just such a I've never really seen it anybody talk about it.
So think about it this way, Josh. Let's take you and I. If you and I are going to go into the weight room, and it's back in the days of Northern State, and we're in that mentality, I mean, we're pretty much still there.
Yeah.
And whoever's with us, we're going to go into the weight room and we're going to squat. Like, okay, I'm going to do this weight. I'll match your reps. Oh, let's do more. All right, we need more. Okay, we're going to burpees now. Next thing you know, guys are sweating. Guys are over the garbage can. Guys are pushing it. And that's amazing, right? You have those mindsets in a room. That's what's going to happen. That's what makes a competitive edge. That's what makes what we call a grinder, right? Or a hard worker. But there's a ceiling effect to that. I think knowing what I know now and going back to my competing years and my CrossFit years, it was thinking, oh, I'm just constantly pounding against some sort of wall. And I'm making some headway because I'm a tougher individual, if you want to say it that way. But also, I'm really just destroying myself for the little bit of ground that I'm moving forward, if any. A lot of times it could come backwards. What I realized through the most recent years and through getting a little bit older is, hey, if I am going to go like that, I at least have to counterbalance it with something. I'll go to my morning routine. So every day when I wake up, I have about an hour, half hour to an hour of my time. And that is a crucial time for my personal working in. I'll spend that time flowing, stretching, yoga, whatever you'd like to call it, breathing deep in through the nose, out through the mouth, and literally sitting still. and just being calm and actually saying some sort of mantra of words to myself to remind me of everything going on throughout the day. And through my routines lately have been very hard. They're more strength based. They've been very, very hard. But think about it this way for anyone watching. When we're working out, that is stressful. We have the stresses of our lives. We have the stresses of everything going on, and we're going to work out to even release that stress, right? So that means, we're going to get it. I got to die today because it was a hell of a day. That's still stressful. You're not taking anything to invigorate the body and bring the energy back into the body. And just like you, when I was first introduced to that, I was thinking, I don't need that. I got this. I'm this, etc. The ego took over. But you realize when you do it, you think, oh, man, feels good to do that. I feel a little looser. I feel a little bit lighter. The body feels a little better. And now tomorrow, I'll be able to go at my workout maybe harder. So I'm just making that balance in there. And as we get further, I have notes on it, but it really comes down to a balance of the two. I can speak for both of us. Most likely in our youth, we probably didn't have that balance. And a lot of times coaches just don't preach that balance either. I know I never did for years.
Yeah. Oh man. I thinking back to the Northern days, bro. I mean, I think about it all the time because it's so funny to me. Because I mean, I had barely had any coaching experience. I really was just in there, and I just was just driven by just pure unadulterated ego, and that was it. Like I would go into that wrestling room,
We all were, baby.
and it was just like, dude, I don't care like what has to happen. I'm just gonna whip on these guys. Like I didn't know how to coach. I didn't know how to freaking structure a training block. I didn't know how to get these kids to peak at the right time. All I knew was, I'm just gonna whip on them until they're good. And it was just like that's just gonna be what I do until I figure all this out. And now, looking back on it, I'm just like, oh my God, like it if you could, and this is all like so many things. If I could just take 5 minutes with myself from back then, with the man I am now, with the way I see things, the things that I think I could just leapfrog over all of these like problems and issues that seem to be such catastrophic roadblocks at the time, but really we're just really myself getting in my own damn way because I was just tunnel vision on like we just have to work hard. We just have to beat on each other. We just have to we can't we got to be the toughest people in the room. And while all of that is great, and there's definitely a factor to that really in all things, like there has to be there has to be a path that gets you through the peaks, through the valleys in one piece, right? If you can't just run, head first in and expect great things to happen over and over and over again,
There's nothing wrong with anything you just said, though. That has to be an important note. And a mindset like that will constantly have the upper hand. I think it comes down to fully grooming that mindset. It goes back to what we just said. There may be an individual out there that can constantly do that. I do believe I have an ability to constantly do that. But the question behind that is that the best version of myself or that individual?
Mm-hmm.
And us as coaches, the answer always was just work harder. Just work harder. You need to work harder. It's actually very naive and a very simple answer. Not everybody can pull that together. Not everybody can do that. And it just comes back to a rhythmic play, a balance with everything you do, and grooming specific mindsets, whether it's pulling the working out individual into more of a working in world, or pulling the working in individual into more a working out world, excuse me. There has to be a mix of the two. I wish I knew it when I was 22 years old. Unfortunately, it took until I was about 31 years old. But that could be better off than a lot. So we have to keep going.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So with that mentality, how do you think that fits in? Say a college athlete is watching or listening right now, and I would say maybe college football, college wrestler, somebody that the tax on their body is pretty high. What would you suggest to them? What are ways that they can do that? Whether it's something in their daily, something in their weekly, to help balance that. Because I think I guarantee that is an issue with college athletes and elite high school athletes all over the country.
Not only that, man, I'm not going to dive in too deep, but when you think about our social practices now, when you think about the phones, when you think about the constant screens, so go beyond the athletics. You have whoever the athlete may be, they're getting taxed. They're being pushed usually to work harder. When they're in the weight room, most likely they're being pushed to even work harder. And then when they're out of it, they're in front of a phone or in front of a screen or doing a class, whatever. My best suggestion would be to create some sort of non-negotiable area with yourself when you can give up 15 to 30 minutes of my morning routine. That's mine, but I'm just saying a stretch, breath, and sit still. Actually do nothing. Think for yourself. And I'm kind of in a tunnel right now of work. I can't remember. I don't know the last time I took longer than 10 minutes and just did nothing. Try to let my mind stop and actually let something manifest than trying to grab on to all the thoughts and remember every task of the day that I had out there. Can you remember when you did it last?
It hasn't been in 3 weeks, that's for sure.
There you go. Yeah, of course not. From the new arrival. Right?
Yeah. But no, and I think we talked a little bit about this last week or the first episode, and it's crazy because it does take that actual realization and that putting into play how important it is, because when I sit and do nothing, like my body gets anxious. Like there's a feeling that comes over me, and I'm just like, I'm not doing enough. Like I'm not doing it. And that's where my head takes off. And then I start getting, on myself, and I start having these crazy, irrational thoughts, honestly. Like if I'm at least aware enough where I know, bro, just give yourself a chill pill, give yourself a break, take a second, and nothing's gonna change for it, just because you're sitting and chilling, for 10 minutes on your own. But there is that feeling that comes over me, and I think that's such a good recommendation, is non-negotiables, and that's a topic all on its own. But just having those kind of set in, whether it's, in the morning, I love a morning routine. I think that's something that in 2014 really changed my life. I really set aside my mornings to be for me. And that's carried on for the last 6 years. I do that pretty much every single day. Wake up really early, take care of myself. There's, not really, there's nobody that can bother you if you do it early in the morning, and if it's some other time during the day, then put your phone on airplane mode. Nobody's really going to have to get a hold of you that crazy, and if it's 10 minutes, past when they needed to get a hold of you, probably not a lot's going to change. But yeah, just having that ability to give yourself reprieve from those stresses, from those, responsibilities. That can change everything.
You said it right with the morning. Nobody's messed up. If it's before 6 a.m., nobody's had the chance to mess it up yet, right? It can happen at any point in the day. If you don't have your mornings, you don't have your evenings, make some time for it. Because again, as Josh said, 15 to 30 minutes, whatever text, whatever call, anything that was going on, it could wait another 15 to 30 minutes,
Yeah.
most likely, 99% of the time. Another great idea, something that I haven't experimented with yet, but is to do it in the evening, to do it right before bed. So if you think about it, it'll tone you right down. Instead of sitting in bed or being on a phone or looking on a screen, go through your routine. And by the end of the meditation, take a warm shower, you're going to be ready to go right out.
Yeah.
It's a natural way of doing it and just bringing all the levels of the day and the mind and the body and everything and just slowly going down, and then you're going to bed.
Yep, that's it. I love that. I suggest to my athletes to and this is a Coit Cooper thing again, to visit your goals and visit your dreams, before, like, sometime right before bed, where you're kind of winding down, you're chilling, look at your goals, look at your action items that, whether it's, daily action items or weekly action items, and having things that, like, you can physically check off. Like, I love having, binders and notebooks around that I can scribble in. I use my phone like crazy like this. But having stuff that you can actually check off, because you might go through a day where you get to the end of the day and you're like, I literally got nothing done. And this day was a complete freaking waste. And I
it's a bad feeling.
Yeah. But then if you take 5 minutes and you look at your goals and look at your action list, and you're like, well, I did get that done. Okay. I got that done. I got half of that done. So, I mean, that's a little bit of progress, so you can actually see and go down that list of things you actually did. So even on a poor day in your mind, you're looking and you're like, okay, it wasn't that bad. But when we're constantly chasing that perfection, and we're constantly chasing, these lofty goals, these big time dreams, you can lose sight of that so easily. So I love that suggestion of visiting that at night, comboing that with a warm shower or some meditation. I love, apps like Headspace or Calm, I think are, really good ways just to kind of, like, they always just bring my level down a notch and allow me to kind of check out.
Those apps are a good reference, because it is good, especially if you're in a beginner term with it. The app gives you guidance. If you have a person curating it, it's much easier to do that and follow along and drop yourself in, so to speak, when someone is speaking or curating. It is a lot harder to do on your own. I even haven't gotten well enough at those steps yet. I just need to know, like you, it would benefit me to sit still for longer than 10 minutes in a day. Because the best part about us is that sense of urgency, or that particular individual. If you have that live or die urgency, whoever's listening, keep it, right? It's going to benefit you far more than most. But you have to learn how to balance it. You have to learn how to turn it on and off when you need it by yourself. Otherwise, you are going to spend a lot of time chasing your tail. Both of us can attest to that.
Yeah. Big time. Big time. Yeah. No, I love that, man. And just, kind of piggybacking off of that and going into, just, thinking about, just lifestyle choices, outside of just, like, working out and things like that, having, just that. I think this is a bad term, but just because it's kind of bastardized, but that thought of health and wellness, right? Like, it's kind of a corny type thing now, where people talk about, oh, your health and wellness. And when I was going to SF State, like, there was literally the humanities building, and it was a very holistic place. And back then, like, I didn't venture in there very much. I didn't really even, care to be around it. Now you turn around, damn near 10 years later, and, the holistic thing has basically skyrocketed, and the health and wellness, that mindset people are making, crazy money off of these ideas that they're really not anything different than what we're talking about with working out versus working in. But it's just being able to, you know, allow yourself that balance and allow yourself that understand that if I have this quote cheat day, it's not the end of the world. It's not something that's going to completely tear me off my foundation. You know, you just get back on target. You get back to it. But back when I was competing, especially when I was in high school, I was a freaking psycho about, like, I ate the same thing for basically 4 years straight. Like, once I decided wrestling was like what I wanted to do, I was so damn crazy about, like, I just ate the same plain bullshit for every single day. And, you know, it served me well. Like, I was very healthy, but, if I knew more about balance, if I knew more about what actual health was, not just like in the terms of macronutrients, but more, you know, on a holistic level, I would have had such a better approach, I think, to, you know, taking my body to where it needed to be.
Yeah. The idea of wellness, I mean, that's everything.
Mm.
I think with wellness a lot, it goes right to nutrition. And you could dive down in that, right? We have a whole holistic world. We have an organic world. Out here in LA, there's chefs that fly their meat in from Argentina. There's a great book that I'm a quarter of the way through now called Deep Nutrition. And it'll completely change your perspective on everything. I think it's real. I think the food that you put in your body replicates what you look like and what you're able to put out with your body or perform with your body, right? But it's beyond the food. You know, it's your mindset. It's your stress levels. It's your daily habits. It's, are you actually happy? Are you doing what you want to do? Are you living in the right place? Are you with the right person? All this stuff comes into play. And again, Josh, you hit on it very, very well, because I think if you're just going to be the person that I'm going to work out, I'm going to eat clean, and I'm going to be strict and look like a magazine model, that's a very stressful life. Even if you can manage to look really, really good for a period of time, how rigid would you be?
Yeah.
You're going to have a stick up your ass. I like beer. Fiance and I love sweets. Can guarantee you tomorrow night we're going to have some beers. Saturday we're going to have some sweets. I only do it 20% of the time, I would say. The best thing for me, and one of the coolest things for me to follow and understand, is the 80-20 rule.
I have that right in my notes, bro. Like,
there you go.
Lined up. Love it.
You know, if you're doing the right thing 80% of the time, you're cool to do things 20% of the time. And maybe you have that extreme situation where it goes 90-10. But I've had too many experiences like you just talked about, where if you want to go 100-0, it's just really not sustainable. And you're not going to actually be healthy, even if you look okay. It's not going to work.
No. Yeah. And I mean that, you know, I really, once I got done competing, you know, I had this, in college, I had this real kind of wavy, like, it was 100-0, just like you just said. And it would be 100% like on point, like everything dialed, and then 0% mess around. And then it would swing back the complete opposite way, and it'd be 100% party and 0% training.
Usually the case.
And it was just like this really, really poor way of doing things. And, you know, I look back on that, and that's one of those things that it's one of those what if things, but I'm lucky enough to where I utilize it to, you know, push me to be a better person, a better coach, and, you know, and be able to tell people, like, this is that, like you just said, like, that's not the way it's going to go. And that's not the way it's going to go best. You have to figure out what your balance looks like, because yeah, I mean, that's when I was banged up. It happened then, you know, because I was so far one way or so far the other way. I'd get hurt. I'd get, off track. I'd get unmotivated, or I'd be, my relationships would suffer because I was so far focused on wrestling and so far focused on, everything that comes with that. And it just, there's so many things that you can benefit yourself and benefit the people around you by being able to, like your buddy or somebody, your cousin, aunt, uncle, whatever, they invite you over to have a couple beers and some spaghetti. You're like, well, I don't really want all those carbs, and I don't really, tonight is not somewhere I want to drink, but I haven't seen my friend in 6 months or whatever. It's like, I'm able to do that now. Back then it would have been like, we're either going hard or I'm not even going to see you. Just like there's no balance.
No middleman.
No, zero. So, I looking back on it, it's always hindsight's 2020, but, it's coming from that moment and being able to be here right now and look back on it. I know that the advice that you just gave, the 80-20, the 70-30, if it has to be, it's something that you can really make a lot of headway in your life, on the full facet of your life, not just on one strict area. And the other thing with that would just be the ability to kind of check back in, like, so you have that balance, and then say you have a goal, like, yo, I want to get shredded, I'm going to freaking Florida in a couple weeks for vacation, time to get shredded. That's where you might tap into that 95, but then being able to bring it back out and balance it out, because you've already been there, you've already lived in that balance, you have the ability to jump up that mentality a little bit too.
When you establish the lifestyle, you'll develop the ability to control it. Take the worst case scenario. Let's take baby steps with it. If you had someone that is 100 bad, 0 good, if week 1 they got themselves to 98 bad, 2% good, that's a progression. That works. That is a step forward. It still looks bad, but who cares? And the other side, the flip side of that, something I wanted to touch on, if you're 100 good, 0 bad, if you put yourself in a cage, you're going to fantasize about everything that you want to do outside the cage. And then you're going to start smashing the cage until you get out. And then once you get out, you're going to go right to 100 bad, probably 0 good. So the 80-20 rule always just made common sense to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's money. I love that. I love that mentality and being able to, like have that. And, it's again, looking back, this is for the people to use our mistakes. I think it's so important to learn from people's mistakes. It's making our own mistakes. That's part of learning. That's part of the process too. But damn it, if you don't have to go through this, freaking don't. Like if you're a college athlete right now, if you're a high school athlete,
just listen.
Yeah, just freaking just figure out what your balance looks like. And that's, like we talked about, basically this whole episode has been about that balance, whether it's, work in, work out, freaking 80-20 rule, like figure out what your balance looks like and stick to it and develop, like you just said, like that lifestyle, man, when it's a habit, when it's something that, is a non-negotiable, that's just how you live. Man, I think that's something that can benefit so many people and so many athletes for sure. Cause, athletes don't live balanced life. Like, great athletes don't live balanced life. But if you can find a little bit of balance in there, if you can find a way to relieve some of that pressure, your people are going to thank you and you're going to thank yourself in the long run, I think.
I think too, dude, this is a perfect little segue back into the training thought process as we talked about working out versus working in. But, and as we first talked about how you constantly push a mental limit, that's where the term again, where the tipping of the scale, if you will, of how do you play that out as we've gotten smarter. And I'll let you start off with this, but I still am a firm believer in having moments in time in training where you're going for it. I mean, it is a day when you walk in and say, look, I may throw up in here. I may die in here type day. Right. And you could take that as literal as you want. I actually don't care. But that should happen because that's where barriers are busted. Now, where I've personally become smarter training and as a coach is to realize that that's not going to happen every week or every day. But I'd love to hear a little bit of your take.
No, yeah, I 100% agree with being able to you got to go to that dark place, man. Like you got to be able
That's
to
right.
tap into that side of you that it's a little bit scary. You walk in with some butterflies, you like, and like, this is gonna suck. This is gonna suck. I know it's gonna, but on the other side is good things are on that other side. That whether it's that body percentage that you want to drop, or that the way you want to look is coming, or just that conditioning that extra level of conditioning that you need. Whatever it is, that's on the other side of that. And like we talked about earlier, is pushing that wall back and finding your limits. That's where we have to go. And man, it used to be for me, I would basically just try to get there every time, but there's just no
Me
way.
too.
There's just no way. And now it's, for me, it's better and it's more exciting, and I appreciate those workouts a lot more because I know that I plan like days around them, so I know like, today's gonna be that banger where, like you said, I might pass out, I might throw up, or whatever it is. I'm going in with that. So I get excited about it now versus, kind of dreading it, like, oh, because I'm paying attention to my mobility, I'm paying attention to my recovery, I'm paying attention to my sleep and all these other factors that I know when I get to that workout, I'm gonna be feeling pretty damn good. And that I know my body is prepared to go have that, crazy workout. And then where we have to get smart in our old days is that recovery afterwards, where taking the time to address any little nags or injuries that we might have, or whatever it might be, um, being able to recover and not just run yourself into that hole.
You said it with a few words. Preparation was the biggest one. First off, if you're coming into something like that after you just did it yesterday, probably not going to have as much pep in your step. And then if you're coming into it in a third day after you just did it for two, you get where I'm going.
Yep.
But if you spend your time in the weeks, months, days prior prepping, building, laying your foundation, then you get into it, you say, all right, I'm ready for this. Let me see what I got.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see what I can push. And then you have that day, you have that week, and then you fall back and you go back into your preparation and your foundation until you find your next push. What made us smarter with it is now we actually thought, oh, right, there has to be a balance behind it. Yeah, we can't actually defy science. As much as a lot of times I don't want to believe that, there is a point in time, like there is a ceiling to it. Again, I'm using that word, but
Man, I was just talking. I was just talking to Teresa about that this morning. I'm like, kind of bored with what I'm doing in the weight room. Like, part of me wants to just like, I have this like little ticker in my head. Like, it's time to kind of pick it up. I've been kind of chilling. Like, I've been on more of like a strength phase and really just lifting weights, not really doing, heavy conditioning or really challenging myself all that much. And so there's, my body is telling me now, I'm like, all right, I kind of need to get into that phase. And so I was telling her today, I'm like, I'm just trying to figure out what it's going to look like. And, that's exciting to me is that kind of change of gears, to, whatever it looks like next is, I'm going into a different phase here and being able to listen to my body and know that, okay, we're prepared now. We've got this, we got a little bit more strength going in. We're a little bit, we're in a better place than we were, say 6 weeks ago. Now let's crank it up. Let's see what we're made of for a little bit. And then we'll go back into, another, whatever the next phase is, maybe mobility phase, maybe another strength phase, just kind of depends on what we do. But I'm excited to kind of, be able to listen and navigate that a little bit better than I used to be able to.
Once a week, I do my conditioning circuits. For now, that'll change. And I look forward to them. I personally I do like capacity style work. I like to feel the heart pumping. I like the sweat. I like the heavy breathing. I just enjoy that. I'm actually more comfortable there.
Yeah. I love it. It's addiction, bro. Like it's straight up. I'm addicted.
It is. If you have that mindset, usually you're probably going to work out pretty fast if you move through life pretty fast. Right. But if it's once a week, you have the ability to look forward to it. I think back into the CrossFit days and into the training days when it was twice a day and you sat back and you said, shit, I got to do that again, a couple hours. Okay. Of course you're going to go into it, give it what you have, but again, are you the best version of yourself to go into that? It always comes back to that play.
Love it, man. Love it. So yeah, man, I think the word of the day, is that balance and finding your balance and being able to, check in with yourself, or maybe it's not even yourself. Maybe it's your trainer, or maybe it's somebody, your coach, or somebody that's just close to you, and ask questions. Like I think that's something that you can do too is ask the people around you, like, can you tell when I'm like this? Can you tell when I'm like that? Like what, ask for help. Like that's something that it is not done enough, frankly. Like people asking for help is fairly rare. I think now people just kind of want to either bang through it and just see what's on the other side, or just give it up completely. So I think that's something, we're definitely here for. My DMs are always open for questions like that or things like that. And the nice thing about the way that I've kind of come up, I've been around great trainers and great strength and conditioning coaches like yourself and other great football, baseball, basketball, like you name the coaches, you name the personalities that I've been around, you've been around. Like if I don't know something, I promise you I'm going to put you in the hands of somebody that I think does. I'm not just going to throw you some bullshit and say, here you go, this is what your answer is. I'm going to point you in the right direction. And that's something that I really enjoy doing, is trying to just be a resource or be a hub to try to help as many people as I possibly can, man.
Two ways with that, my friend. On the coaching end, something I definitely didn't do well enough. It's as simple as the athletes or individuals come through the door, how do you feel? And not judging your Apple Watch or your Whoop, even all that technology stuff, as great as it is sometimes, how do you feel? Going back to the athlete, the cookie cutter answer of fine or I'm good. Are you? Because truly answer that question. Are your eyes burning? Are your joints, is stuff achy? Did you hit your snooze button 4 times to get up? How do you actually feel? It comes from a simple question and it avoids the cookie cutter answer of good. Because if you're really not good, a good coach is going to try to figure out ways to at least make you feel a little better. Otherwise, if you just say good, okay, the plan is what the plan is, and we're all going right through it, whether you're good or not. That's one simple thing that I personally thought can definitely be done better, and I thought I could have done it better as a coach and monitoring all the athletes that I had at the time.
Yeah. I like that too. It's just being able to, have like as especially when you're like that one-on-one coach or that even a coach of a team. It's you see them, you make eye contact with them, but it's very easy to kind of there's athletes that hide too. They're skirting around you. They don't want to talk to coach today. So it's easy to go through a practice sometimes and like, damn, I didn't even talk to so and so today. Like I saw him, but I didn't even talk to him. I didn't, and really, like you said, making it a point to like touch base with each of these athletes, each of these individuals, and really, dig a little bit, like do your job. Like this coaching is a lot more than X's and O's and numbers, and wins and losses.
And there's nothing wrong anymore with whether it's in the group or whether it's pulling someone aside saying, hey, coach, I'm really not good right now. I had a bad day. I had a bad test score. Whatever that is, it doesn't matter. But I'm really mentally, I'm not great, and it's affecting me physically. I don't know. But pulling the individual aside and just making that statement and making that understood, again, if you're truly a good coach and you don't want to, or if you're just going to follow the hammer down role, which I'm definitely guilty of, but anymore, if you're truly good about it and you want what's best for everyone around and the team, you want to try to make that person better.
Absolutely, man. Well, Gary, what else you got? What do you got coming up, man? What are you finishing out the weekend and going into the weekend with?
I'll be excited for a Sunday hike. We've blocked out our Sundays. We try not to work on them, and we try to get into nature.
Nice.
For Steph and I, that's something that really gives us a good connection.
You go to some sick places. I enjoy your Sunday hikes. Saturdays are more my day for that because Sundays are kind of a grind. We train quite a bit on Sundays, but I always enjoy seeing it's like where's Gary going today, and you go to some pretty sick spots. And is that all pretty like local to you?
It's all lately it's been under an hour away.
Love it.
So they're not very far. That's the cool thing about LA, being by the coast, being in the mountains. 30 minutes to 45 minutes you can drive, and you can be in snow. You can feel like you're in another state or a different world. So it's an interesting experience. We've definitely taken advantage of that.
Boom. There it is. That's what we got to leave them with is freaking go outside this weekend. Even if you're in the Midwest, there's, go enjoy that freezing tundra. I'm sure you're living
it. Find a way to connect with nature. Find a way to get away from your phone for a little bit.
Yes.
Get away from technology in general. Like we just said earlier in the cast, the 15 to 30 minutes, the hour, whoever's trying to reach out or whatever you're missing on could surely wait another hour 99% of the time.
That's it. That's the non-negotiable. Add that in.
That's right.
Do it.
Put that on the list.
Everybody, we appreciate your time. Tune back in next time. We're going to be putting out a bunch of content. You can follow me on Instagram, jno_knows. Same thing on Twitter, Facebook, Joshua Nolan Wrestling. And Gary, what are your handles, my friend?
At Gary C. Gall on Instagram.
Make sure.
Facebook's still up and coming. We'll get on that, but we will be putting out a lot of content, and we will be growing with the podcast and with the collaboration for sure moving forward.
Yes, sir. Everybody have a wonderful rest of the week. Have an enjoyable weekend, and just keep freaking pushing that breaking point back, baby.
That's right. Ending on a good note.
That's it. Love it.